In this, my final address to you as your chairman, I reflect back on the times that we were able to spend together. It's been a unique opportunity for me to be able to talk to scores of other lumber dealers all around the country, and we obviously share many commonalities. Most of us refer to our place of business simply as the lumber yard. Over the years, you've shared with me many stories about life at the lumber yard. When you meet a new person outside the industry, do you ever notice that when they ask you what you do for a living and you respond, I work at a lumber yard, you kind of get that funny look like, oh, this poor guy couldn't get a real job. He ended up stuck at the lumber yard. I'm not sure what they envision working at a lumber yard is like, but I'll tell you what, upon reflection, and I think most of you would not trade your lumber yard experience with anything else. After all, it was at the lumber yard that you learned about values, honesty, integrity, hard work, humility, values that you take with you for your entire life. It was at the lumber yard where you learned that your actions had consequences, so you became much more attentive to your actions. It was at the lumber yard where we grew up, we matured. We went from that immature teenager with a fast car to a respectable member of society with a family and responsibilities of our own. It was also at the lumber yard where you were mentored. Great examples of great men and women taught you how to properly conduct yourself in business and in life. It was at the lumber yard where you met and continue to meet many incredible and amazing people. Many have impacted your life in a way that you will never forget and be eternally grateful. It was at the lumber yard where a 16-year-old was told on his first day on the job that no matter what job is assigned to you, resolve to do it better than it's ever been done before. I started at the lumber yard at age 16, and on my very first day on the job, it was told to me that if I resolve to do any job that I'm assigned, no matter how big or how small, do it better than it's ever been done before, that I will succeed. I was hired at minimum wage in those days. We've talked a lot about minimum wage recently, and my minimum wage back then was $2.65 an hour. And I was hired to put away stock after school. But taking that advice to do every job better than it's ever been done before, I set out to not just check in hardware and stock the shelves, but to transform the store. I re-merchandised every display as I had time. I built end caps, rotated stock. I created systems to be sure the shelves were always full. I dusted, fronted, and organized every shelf and every hook in the entire store. Well, soon after that, I was noticed and rewarded for my efforts. And how was I rewarded? I was given more responsibility. You see, the janitor of the company left, and they asked me to, along with my regular duties, clean the building, dump the trash, mop the floors, clean the bathrooms, sweep, vacuum. That's often how we're rewarded for a job well done. Well, I continued with the mantra of doing things better than they've ever been done before. The first day that I became the janitor, I went into the bathroom and I looked around, and I envisioned a bathroom that would sparkle and look cleaner and fresher than ever. I got to work. I cleaned the ceiling, walls, floors, and fixtures. I made sure that everything shined. And just a couple of days later, the president of the company found me and said, "Young fellow, are you cleaning the bathrooms now?" And I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "I thought it must be you because they are sparkling clean, cleaner than I've ever seen them before. Keep up the good work." 30 years later, that young janitor became the senior partner of the company, the CEO, president, and chairman of the board. That simple instruction of do it better than it's ever been done before has served me incredibly well. That one statement taught me that everything can be improved. It taught me to visualize success. It taught me to do the right thing, even when no one was looking. It taught me to persevere. It proved to me that I could choose to succeed and that nearly everything is possible. All those amazing lessons I learned at the lumber yard. It was at the lumber yard where you learned good old-fashioned common sense. Probably the first day on the job, an old-timer started you down the path of how to think about things logically. And our education continues to this very day. It was at the lumber yard where you learned the value of your knowledge. People would walk through the door with a problem, sometimes what appeared to them to be a disastrous problem. And we are privileged to know that amazing feeling of genuinely helping them, calming them, and providing them with real solutions. It was at the lumberyard where you learned about making mistakes. We all made plenty of mistakes, but we were taught to take responsibility for our mistakes and, most importantly, to learn from our mistakes. It was at the lumberyard where you began to learn just what you were capable of doing, and you surprise yourself and begin to understand that nearly everything is possible. Yes, it was at the lumberyard that you learned that you never, ever put profit ahead of doing the right thing. It was at the lumberyard where you were privileged to observe a wide-eyed young couple walk through the door one day with some sketches on a piece of paper of a dream. That piece of paper became a blueprint. Today, that young couple, not so young anymore, has raised a family, gone through life's good times and bad, raised children, celebrated birthdays, holidays, and everyday life. Today sits a true home, not just a house, but a home. And we at the lumberyard were there many, many years ago when that young couple came through our doors with nothing but a blueprint, dirt, and a dream, the American dream. We were privileged to over and over again help play our part in turning so many of those dreams into realities. It was at the lumberyard where a young guy working behind the counter got up the courage to ask a cashier on a date. Next month, Kathy, the cashier, and I, the counter guy, will celebrate our 38th wedding anniversary. So where do you work? A lumberyard? I am beaming with pride as I answer yes. Yes, I work at the lumberyard. And I am further blessed to know so many amazing people who also work at lumberyards all around this great country. I'm so grateful that we can join together to enhance our business and our lives as part of LBM Advantage. We are truly better, stronger together. It's been my honor and privilege to serve as your chairman, and I look forward to meeting with you in person, hopefully very soon. Thank you for this amazing opportunity and journey.